bit inspiring movie, but very, very emotional. How did you ever think of making this, or did somebody propose this to you, or how does this documentary come about?
Well, it's a long story because somebody came to me, the producer from Canada, who's here tonight, Adam Scorgi. He came to me back in 2020, I think it was, 2020. And we started shooting a documentary, and then, of course, COVID happened, so that slowed everything down. And then in 2020, I also got the cancer diagnosis. And I didn't tell them, I didn't tell anybody. And by 2021, things were getting kind of bad when I was shooting those movies in London. So I think at the end of 2021, I told them, you know, because I started thinking, well, I don't know if I'll be around for the premiere of this doc, you know, and I think they should know. So, you know, we started shooting slightly in a different way. Emma started filming things, you know, when I went to UCLA, or when I saw a doctor and did Zooms and so forth. And then, you know, we had to then reconfigure the whole doc, and it took a few editors to do it. It took another year and a half actually to get put together, because the plan wasn't that it was supposed to be about cancer. It was supposed to be about entertainment person. But we realized that personally, after I went through this, I thought, you know, there's so many people suffering from this that, and I'm involved with some of them now, trying to help people and so forth, and we wanted to make it about that, to sort of show what it's like, and that there's, you know, can be a good ending to it as well. You know, if you get a second opinion, and if you keep fighting, and if you don't give up.
Yeah. So truly, in the very beginning, the shots in the documentary, people did not know about the cancer. Like Emma was shooting those on your cell phone.
She shot those on her cell phone.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't know.
They didn't know, and you didn't decide to put it in until later.
Until 2022 probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, that's also what I was going to say, and as we saw in the documentary, that you started to also realize that there were other things to life opening up. But you had that quite early, though, because you did, for all the Swedes here, do you remember the radio program Sommarpet?
Yeah.
So everybody knows that in Sweden because it's a super popular radio program. I got a lot of phone calls about, have you heard Dolph? Have you heard Dolph? This was all the way in 2008, right? That you were talking about the story with your dad. How, like, and the same thing, obviously, with the super famous TEDx talk that you had, but like, when did you decide to sort of turn it around? Before, this is now before the cancer, obviously, or start opening up and being vulnerable, and like, where did this come from? Like, some people don't have this epiphany ever.
Yeah, I think it started with yeah, I was this live show in Sweden on radio where I play music and speak about my life, and I decided to speak about my dad because I realized nobody in Sweden had known me before Rocky IV. They only knew me as an actor, and people didn't know how I got there. So I told them the story about my childhood and how that my trauma from my childhood drove me into martial arts, and that kind of in a roundabout way took me into Hollywood. And I realized from that experience sharing, my journey with other people made me feel good. And I realized that, why did I become an actor? Because it's like sharing yourself with other people and trying to make them feel something. So I've sort of followed through on that, and I did the TED Talk for same reason. And the documentary turned out to be another way of doing that. And I guess it's self-examination to some degree. I also did therapy and meditation and trying to get to know myself better. And who am I? What happened to me? And how did I become this person?
I've never ever thought about that. Meaning that when you're sharing even from your true life, not just via character, you're sharing with the audience, right? That's what you mean?
Yeah, when you're playing a character, obviously, or if you're directing a movie, you're trying to make the audience feel something, and you get a kind of, you get satisfaction from affecting the audience. But I did also realize that by opening up about stuff, then it gets you off the hook. What is that old saying? You're only as sick as your secrets. So if you hold on to something, it has power over you. But when you let it out, it loses its power.
Of course, but then again, not everybody is that brave, because that was what I was going to ask you the next thing about. It's kind of scary, I think, to open up, right? Because you are like sort of being vulnerable, and people can come and attack you or say mean things or whatever. I mean, how do you deal with fear like that? Because you're constantly in the spotlight, and then you play a lot of tough guys, but then you're very human and real in real life. That must be scary, I'm thinking, or not, maybe.
It is a bit scary, and when I first got famous, you think you have to live up to your image, and it's a lot of pressure. And that's why I started drinking too much and doing drugs, and you're trying to escape because it's hard to deal with the public image that you're supposed to live up to, whether you're Marilyn Monroe or Michael Jackson, Elvis Presley, whoever. You're trying to live up to an image, and it can have very bad consequences on a personal level. But I did feel like for me, opening up was a way to sort of it's like therapy.
So that's also to bring up something that we saw in here. Have you forgiven your dad? Is your dad still alive?
No, he isn't. He passed away in 2010, I think it was. I did forgive him. I never told him because he wasn't really conscious of what he had done. He didn't really. I think he totally. He didn't really have access to. He was like a split personality, like bipolar. So, but I think I did forgive him personally. I forgave him because I realized early on that he was a victim. Like they say, we're victims of victims. Yeah. He was a victim of something back in the Depression era in Sweden, where people were starving to death, and he grew up in a small town where who knows what was done to him. So I forgave him for sure. Yeah.
Again, very brave. So tough question. Next one, Dolph. Super tough to ask, also bring it up, but it was mentioned in the movie. You said you had suicide thoughts. Can you elaborate a little more than what was mentioned? And if you're not comfortable, totally understand it as well.
No, look, if you face your own mortality, it's it's like being a soldier under fire. You're in a trench, and your best buddy gets his head blown off, and you bury him, and then you got to fight on, and you think maybe tomorrow's my time. My number's up. So in that environment, day after day of that's why soldiers, perhaps during the war, they may keep fighting because you're in a survival mode, but they come back home and there's a big party and the balloons go up, and here's the guy who made it back, and what does the guy do 2 weeks later? Puts a gun in his mouth, right? And people don't understand it, but it hits you afterwards. So when I was going through it, I thought about suicide because I thought, well, do I really want my kids, like I said, and people to see me, a wreck, I don't really wanted that. So I did think about it, and I did speak to my brother about it, my younger brother, and kind of made a little agreement if I would have to, make that decision.
Really?
No, seriously, yeah, I did. But then what happened was after it was over and after I was sort of out of the woods to some degree, then the PTSD hit me, and post-traumatic stress of having been, thinking about my death for so long that I have my therapist who's actually here tonight. She got me through a certain wave of getting through that first part of survivorship, with the first phase where you're trying to deal with, oh, am I normal now?
Yeah.
Can I trust this? As soon as you get a little pain in your knee, like, or you get something, oh shit, here we go. It's back, So, yeah, so it has a lot of levels to it, but it's been interesting, and certainly it makes you appreciate, waking up in the morning and enjoying people you love.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine, because I think that is super tough, and also the stress for every second of the day to go through it, but the pressure of it. And that brings it to sharing it with other people, because you said there was only a few people in the very beginning that you told, and how much did you share, for example, with Emma, who's obviously here, and did you share, you said you brought it up to your younger brother, but did you share that with her? And I mean, how was that heard?
No, I didn't tell her about that. I didn't tell Emma about those ideas, but, we were, Emma was very positive. She's a young person, and young people are more optimistic. They can't think in a negative way. That's why all fighter pilots are 22 years old, because, they're not scared.
Scientifically proven?
Yeah, they're not scared. Yeah, but, so she helped me, and she, I had her support, but I did keep some of those ideas. I didn't think she needed to hear about it. But I think it's something that anybody who's in those type of situations will find their mind going into that place. It's yeah, I think so for sure.
Yeah, tough things. Obvious. The same with your daughters, but you told them, did you keep the cancer diagnosis a secret for a while before you told them? And when you told them, how did you tell them, or how did you get the courage to tell them?
I told them, it took a while for me to tell them, but I told them pretty early on about it. But it was just my daughters, my wife, my family, and a few close friends knew about it for a while. But I decided, when I finally did that interview with Graham Bensinger, it was a good feeling, because it was nice to get it off my chest. And I think the interview aired like on a Tuesday, and on Wednesday, I remember I was in Beverly Hills, some store with Emma, and I get a call in my cell, and it's like Sylvester Stallone calling. It was like, and he was in tears, and he was like, like you do, it's like, you should come down to Florida and come stay with my guest house. It was really, and then he was like, yeah, I have, and then he told him about his health battles immediately. It was really cool, actually. It was, yeah, I realized that we were pretty close friends.
Okay. So you didn't know that the story had broken, or you knew that it had broken?
Break,
You knew it was going to break at some point.
I just didn't know he was going to call me in
Right.
a few hours.
Yeah. Before I move on to maybe happier things than all this, but I think it is important still to, or at least I'm curious, because I think that sometimes these dips in lives or challenges brings a lot of positive things that you realize. But also, I'm so impressed with whatever your doctor that I met once before, right there, that she told me when we had dinner, recently, that one of the biggest things that she said about you was that you really, it's super strong in your mind, and you believe, that you can get healthy, and that's sort of what helped her as well in her medical things. Not that I'm gonna pretend to even know what you do over there, but hopefully, we can elaborate on that as well. But where do you think that comes from? That you have such strong motivation? Because that was mentioned, I think, by Arnold and by Sylvester Stallone and everybody, saying you're very driven, and you know what you want, and where does it come from?
Well, it takes one to know one. I mean, look at Arnold and Slot.
Yeah.
I mean, they're guys who came from nowhere, came to this town without a nickel, and look where they are now. But yeah, I think I had it from my childhood. I think it was all kind of part of this journey of the. They say that what is the hero's journey? It's like, hardships creates character, and it happened to me when I was a kid, and then in sports, and then through academia, and also in movies. But I must say, on another level, that I have realized afterwards that if I hadn't gotten cancer, if I hadn't had the diagnosis, I would have probably something bad would have happened to me anyway. And because I was pushing it, I was burning the candle from both ends. I was working too much, training too much, flying, partying too much, doing everything. For some reason, I just couldn't stop. I could never relax. And I think the cancer was the one thing that was powerful enough to kick my ass to some degree and make me realize that I'm human and I have to be careful and I have to take care of myself. So in one way, it was kind of a blessing looking back at it, because it made me wiser, but also made me kinder to myself.
You're so ultra positive. I like it.
Yeah.
The same with Emma. She's not the only. It's not because she's young.
No,
They're
not
positive. No, you're both positive. No, I think it's beautiful. I do believe that maybe everything happens for a reason, and we learn from it if we're blessed. Like, I'm impressed with you meditating as well, which I think is, proven to be all that good. But we're gonna leave that and move on to fame. So, just because we are south of Los Angeles, the capital of all the famous people, you said that you were just catapulted into instant fame. Do you have, you touched on it in the movie, but do you have any advice? Because there might be some young actors in here, obviously, and what to not do, or what to do, or what to expect, and how do you deal with fame today? Because you still have it, obviously,
Well, it's difficult it's great to become famous. It's fabulous, but it's also can be very destructive. And I think, if you're an actor, then you can focus on your craft. You focus on working on your craft and doing theater, and maybe trying to be selective in the roles you do, so you feel good about yourself. You don't sell out too quickly. And I made old mistakes. I just didn't really think it through too well, because it was kind of swept away. It was just like I was like drunk on something, and getting love from other people because I didn't get it from my dad. But I think if you can keep good people around you, close to your family, which I had, and also good advisors, and focus on your craft, be good at something, then maybe you have a little antidote to the negative side of being famous.
Yeah, no, I'm just wondering what it does to a person's to have that sort of instantaneous boost with everything, I'm sure it does. But good, I guess I don't think there is any mistake. So, as you said earlier, so it probably is exactly how it was supposed to be. Speaking about, so you made over 100 films. Which one, you acted in most, but you also directed. Which one is your favorite of the ones that you have been in?
Well, I just want to mention, when I had done Rocky IV, that was my second film, I read an article in a magazine by John Wayne, and he'd done 110 movies or something, and I was like, oh my God, how am I going to get to Lament 2, And I was looked up to John Wayne, and now I'm like at 100, so time flies when you're having fun. What did you ask me?
No, I asked which one do you have? It's 100. It's over 100. Yeah. So, do you have a favorite?
Well, I kind of like Creed 2 a little bit, because I got to play that character Drago again, and it was a father-son relationship where I can kind of be my dad, play my dad, kind of not being a very loving dad, but in the movie I got to hug my son and say it's okay. So in one way I got to hug myself, when I did that scene. So it was quite powerful for me. And I noticed when we shot it, I could I remember I looked at the audience and I saw that the women, some of the women were crying. So I knew it kind of worked.
But it's very, that character is very real, even though because you're known for playing the tough guy, but Creed 2 is like, it's a real guy, and also like how you know, throw in the towel for the guy and not push him over the edge, you know, I think those are.
Yeah, and I remember when I worked on the character, I tried to draw a character, Ivan Drago. If you could think of the last guy in the world, the absolute last guy who would throw in the towel is this Ivan Drago. So when he throws it in, it means something.
It's huge when he throws it in. So then you have done all of that, so all good. So who would be a filmmaker that you would want to work with that you haven't worked with yet, like on the wish list?
Oh, there's so many. There's so many. I don't know, but I mean, you know, there's some great guys. I ran into Martin Scorsese a while ago at a party.
Yeah.
He was a nice guy. It was funny because I talked to him like very friendly, and at the time, you know, I like his movie King of Comedy. Emma and I were watching it because the movie we're working on, as you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I like him. I know Quentin Tarantino a little bit. He's quite talented. So
Yeah, great. Obviously, like great choices. So what you just mentioned the two films that you like, but do you have an absolutely favorite or top two films ever?
You mean of other people?
Of other people, or of your own, for all that matters.
Well, I guess I like Gladiator. I think that's a good film. Has good action, good drama. There are other ones. Taxi Driver's good. Speaking of Scorsese.
And
classic.
the King of Comedy, as
King
you
of
mentioned.
Comedy.
And yeah, I mean, there's some good ones. Okay. So also, just because I'm curious, so this is a documentary, and you, like you said as well, it's not completely finished. I didn't know that. It looks like it is, but you know, thanks for mentioning. Is there anything though that you would like to share that was cut out or that is not in the movie? Because you must have shot, you know, documentaries. They shoot how many hundreds of hours, and then they just cut to bed. You know, something that sticks out.
No, I think that I think most of it was in there. I mean, there were a lot of people interviewed who didn't make it, but no, I think it was good. I mean, I think that we need to take a look at it and, you know, tweak some of the a few things in there. But I think on the whole, it tells the story pretty well.
No, I like it as well. It's just because I'm curious, thinking that it might be some other little secret that we don't know. So that's what I'm going to ask you. Is there a secret, or do you have anything?
I have any more secrets?
Do you have any more secrets that we don't
I got a
know?
lot of secrets.
Yeah.
I got a lot of secrets for another couple of sequels.
Yeah, can you share something that you are like that somebody doesn't know about you? It can be simple, like, you know, you like a certain candy, or it doesn't have to be as deep as, you know, the super secret.
What I like to, what do you mean? Get up in the morning and wake up our cat every morning. And take him to clean his clothes, I don't know what's right.
That is,
I think
I don't
everything
think
has been
people
revealed.
know that, like
Everything
with
has
a
been
cat.
revealed
Yeah.
about me.
All right.
Yeah, I think so. I like.
No, it's just, you know, I think it was really good. We're not done yet, Dolph, because I want to give the opportunity to the audience if anyone has any questions for Dolph, because I left some out. Yes.
Should we get the mic?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe it's too much.
I don't know how this
Maybe
works.
it's better.
Yeah, if you wanna just stand up and then we can hear you.
I would like to ask you, Dolph, have you considered directing or writing a movie? May or may not be an action genre.
If I'm working on a movie, is it action or not?
Or if you consider directing or writing a movie.
Okay. Yeah, I have two projects I'm working on actually. One is kind of a comedy, say like an action comedy, and the other one is a drama, like just a straight drama. Which the second one I don't know if I'll be in. Now I produce it. The first one I'm in. The first one I play myself. I play another version of myself, kind of a version of myself who hasn't meditated, who doesn't, who hasn't done any therapy, and who is kind of a frustrated action guy who is tired of working, doing another cheesy Expendables movie and wants to be a serious actor. And he gets an opportunity in this movie. But first they steal my 2 dogs.
Could you say cheesy Expendables movie?
No, it's
Luckily,
cheesy.
Stallone is not hearing. Nobody's recording this, right?
I know. Fire me from number 5.
Yeah. Does anyone else have a question? Right here.
I don't know if you went over this or not, but what made you want to get into acting and directing?
Okay, acting. Yeah, I think I was in theater when I was a kid. I think it was a way to express myself. As an artist. I was always artistic, with painting and music, and I think the fact that I had my dad beat me up when I was kind of had bad self, had low self-esteem. I think acting. A lot of actors are shy, and they're trying to overcome that by, exposing themselves on stage. And that's kind of where it came from. And directing is another extension of that. You just want to affect the audience. You want the audience to feel something, so you want to direct. Because the actor, the real artist in the movie is the director. The actor, he comes and does his job, but the movie's released a year later. So they work, so the director is the real artist.
Yes.
Hey, what's something you're proud of that you see in your daughters that came from you?
What I'm proud of in my daughters.
Good question.
Thank
Deep
you, thank you.
Philosophical room.
Yeah, thank you. I think what I'm proud of my daughters.
Oh, he was asking if there is any qualities in his daughters that he can see that is from him, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
That you're proud of.
Sorry, I will repeat the questions as well.
Yeah, that's
Thanks,
good.
Emma. Yeah.
Yeah, there are a few qualities. I mean, I think the one thing that I like about them, they're well behaved, they have good manners, they treat everybody well. They can, speak to a person in Saint-Tropez, rich and poor. They can deal with anybody. They treat everybody the same. I think also that they have a certain self-awareness because of the therapy and that they know I've done meditation and therapy, and they're interested in that. And also, I think that they're willing to open up about themselves, and they're not hiding how they feel. They can express emotions quite easily, which I like.
Thank you. Good questions. I know them. They are ladies. So, and we have a question over there as well.
This evening, and I just wanted to let you know that I think you were extremely brave for letting the world know what you went through. Somebody else is battling and seeing the emotion and showing that it's okay to cry and to express that is going to help people heal and be strong for their fights. I want to thank you for that. Now for my mellow question is, I heard that you like hockey. I would like to hear that you played hockey before martial arts, and you only mentioned it, and I never knew that you played it. So tell me a little bit about your hockey career.
Just to repeat it, he is wondering, he wants Dolph to talk more about his hockey career. Early on in Sweden, right? Before
It's a short
karate.
story. I did it for about 2 years, and I was pretty good, but I was a goalkeeper, and it was -20 and this much snow, and freezing, and it was fun. But I decided that I liked martial arts better. Within 2 years, I started doing judo and then karate. I was okay as a hockey player. I wasn't great, but I was okay.
Right. Well, I did know that about the hockey either. So, last question. Somebody that has. Oh my gosh! Now the hands are coming up. All right. Who was first of the two of you, or a short question each? Yeah.
Religion style study.
I didn't
My karate career, yes. I started doing goju-ryu karate, the traditional karate, and then I changed to kyokushin karate, which is also Japanese traditional, more contact type of karate, which I did, which I still do a little bit. Every workout I do a little bit of martial arts.
Great. And then the last one over here, right?
Yeah, Dolph, I just wanted to say, I grew up watching Rocky IV. I mean, every single time I would watch the training montage, pump me up. Go out and feel the workout. I loved it. Yeah, so I just want to say I'm grateful to sit here before you and just, it's a true honor. My question is, when you were filming between tests, and fighting this diagnosis, what was your mindset getting through the long days, heavy film days, and what was your self-talk to tell yourself, like, how did you get through? Like, what was it? What was your thought process? How would you talk to yourself to get through these tough times?
Yeah, it's a good question. What I did actually, about the same time I got the diagnosis, I discovered these books by this woman, Louise Hay. She was a self-help person who wrote these books on affirmation. She had cancer when she was young, and she actually wrote a book that's been published in about 50 million copies called You Can Heal Yourself. And it's about affirmations, about positive thinking. She says most of the time when we think about stuff that's negative, like even about ourselves, we're very critical. It comes from childhood. And I started trying to change the way I thought about my body, myself, the future. And you have to actually go to the mirror and look at yourself and tell yourself something positive. I really love you. I really love you. Whatever. It's changed, strange, but I was a bit desperate, so I started doing it. And now I still do it, not in the mirror, but I just do it before I go to sleep every night. I pick certain affirmations that if I have like liver, if I have some problems, and I'm trying to infuse my body with positive energy. And that wasn't only one thing I did, but it sort of tends to help you because otherwise you're in a negative feedback loop. You're trying to make it positive. So I started doing that. And also I think just Emma, talking to Emma all the time, and the kids, and somehow believing that this wasn't the end, That I felt it wasn't. I mean, I wasn't 100% sure, but I kind of felt that I'm going to make it through this. There you go.
Thank you, sir.
That was so nice. I think we'll end right there, and I think that is such a nice way to end it. And also, you say towards the end there, when you're standing with Emma in the sunset, that you're appreciating everything and every day and all of that. And I think that, I can't speak for the entire audience, but I appreciate you. I think every person in here appreciates you. I can't speak for them.